Hello everybody, I'm Star Raptor and welcome to Recap of Thrones. Now every week guys, I break down the latest episode of Game of Thrones, providing speculation. So without further ado, let's jump on in it. So we have the premiere episode of Season 6 titled The Red Woman. So just to let you guys know, on this show I'm going to be talking a spoiler, so please, if you have not seen this episode, definitely want to go watch it before I talk because I'm going to break it all down. So, in the beginning of every episode, I'm going to do what's called the rundown, where I'll go through each major location that was told in the episode and break down the journeys of all the main characters. So, we're going to start off at the wall with Davos. So we find Davos, who finds Jon Snow's body, brings it inside, has a lot of Jon's loyal followers such as Dolorous Edd, as well as we have Ghost in there. And they kind of block themselves inside this room, and they're trying to figure out what to do with Jon Snow, what they're going to do with all these conspirators, So we also have Alliser Thorne, who basically tells Davos he's got to come outside, and he'll give him amnesty if he, just comes out with his, hands like, oh, I'm unarmed or whatever. But we all know that's not going to work because they have crossbow guys at the door pointing them, So that was and we also have Red Woman, name of the episode, Melisandre, who also looks at Jon's body and basically said this wasn't supposed to happen. So I'll talk more about Melisandre at the later part of this episode. So we move on to Winterfell, where we have the crazy guy Ramsay, who wants to apparently feed the corpse of his girlfriend, or whatever you want to call her, Miranda, to the wolves. Yeah, this guy to me is just worse than Joffrey. Even in the books, I hated him more, and they're doing a good job of continuing for me to hate this kid. But also we have, kind of on the outskirts of Winterfell, we have, Theon and Sansa that were escaping, and they're about to get captured by the Boltons with their freaking hounds, and we have Brienne of Tarth saving the day along with Podrick. So they all get united, and it looks like they're going to be heading towards the wall to find Lord Commander Jon Snow, and maybe or not he'll be alive or dead in some capacity. We do not know. So next up we have King's Landing. So we have Cersei finding out that another one of her children has been killed, Myrcella, so we see Jaime returning her. Also, we have Marjorie, who's speaking to the High Sparrow on confession, and she constantly wants to find out what's the fate of her brother Loras. And next up, we have Dorne, which was really surprising, the way that Doran Martell just got assassinated by Ellaria Sand right there in his little wheelchair in, I guess, the Water Gardens. That was sure shocking to me, for sure. Also, we have in Meereen, we have the epic team-up of Varys and Tyrion, just like we did in Season 2. We have those guys walking around Meereen. Tyrion says, he can't rule very effectively from the top of an 800 or 400, whatever it was, foot pyramid, so let's walk around in disguise and try to, see what it is from a servant's point of view, and see what we can fix from ground level. And then we also had Jorah and Daario, both lovers of Daenerys. Of course, they're trying to search and find her, because last we've seen her flying off on a dragon, and that leads into Dany, who is now a prisoner of this Khalasar by Khal Morro, and we find out that Dany actually stands up for herself, says about 20 titles to kind of get her out of the trouble, and Morro just kind of laughs. But then she does tell him that, Khal Drogo was her husband, and then they kind of give her more leeway and say, well, we'll take you, instead of killing you or making you a slave, we'll just bring you to Vast Dorath and basically make you a woman, or have you with all the widows and just hang out there for the rest of your life, which doesn't really sound much better than being a slave. But finally we have Braavos, where we see Arya Stark. At the last time we seen her, she was blind, so we see her, basically just sitting on the stairs and just trying to collect coins, and along comes the waif, or whatever they call her, and I don't know what they call her in the series, that has a little bow staff and starts, trying to get in some training. Whether or not, I think it was more of a beatdown on Arya. So that to me is like gonna set her off to become a blind master, like maybe like something like Daredevil. So I'm a real big fan of that. So come on, bring on the blind ninja characters. I'm all for it. So that'll pretty much sum up what happened in this episode. So moving on to some things I really enjoyed. First of all, I like how the season starts off direct directly after season 5 finale. I mean, we pick up right where we're looking at Jon Snow again, and we're hearing Ghost just crying out because he was trapped inside that shed the whole time and couldn't do a damn thing. So that kind of was really tore at my heartstrings a little bit, just hearing Ghost there, helpless. Um, Also, the fight scene in the snow with Brienne and Theon and Pod, that was great. That was a great way to kind of open up the season, having some horseback swordplay, and it's just, oh man, there's nothing like this on TV. I'll tell you, with the amount of visceral just damage and Brienne of Tarth just slitting people's throats mercilessly, going after Sansa. She'll do whatever it takes, and we even see Pod, in season 3 or 4, he was just absolutely terrible at riding a horse, and we actually see him pretty competently taking out some guards. And at the end, we do see Theon just taking out the Bolton guy. That was definitely cool. So he's definitely not going back. Theon is, believe it or not, one of my favorite characters of A Song of Ice and Fire / Game of Thrones. And this storyline has not happened in the books, with Brienne finding Sansa and Sansa being with Theon. So I am very interested to see if they are going to make it to Castle Black and if Davos will still be there. It seems like this season with Game of Thrones, a lot of these characters are getting like kind of streamlined into like bigger storylines with multiple characters rather than have a lot of segmented storylines. So it's easier to keep track, but it's just really interesting now as a book reader seeing like some of these interactions with characters that I would never expected, and seeing it on the screen is really freaking cool. Moving on, and basically this is a part of the same thing I'm talking about, is when Brienne pledged herself in service to Sansa. So I love that because the music, there's no music, and you just see her like finally I got to her, and it's like, well, now we have to find Arya, pretty much, it seems like. So not out of the woods yet. Um, Arya getting beaten in the alleyway by the girl. I thought that was really interesting. Um, wow, it's like you feel so sorry for her because she's just begging on the stairs, and just the way her expressions are and the way she's looking around, like she has just become blind. And it's just crazy to think of what that must be like. But Maisie Williams, man, she kills it as the role of Arya, and this is going to make it even harder for her to try to act like somebody blind. Like, and I just want to see what the progression is going to be like. Using the staff, is that going to be her main weapon now, or what's going to happen? I guess she still has Needle. What's her journey going to be like? Is she going to go back to Westeros at some point? Like that's something to think about too. Like, what is her purpose now? Is she truly nothing now, or what? What is it with that? So, and finally, the main talking point of the episode, the title of the episode, The Red Woman, Melisandre, the servant of Lord of the Light, comes out as being somebody who's a couple centuries old. This is actually confirmed by David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, actually, on one of these after the episode deals, and they actually confirmed that she is a couple hundred years old. This wasn't actually told in the books yet. You could have a feeling that it was, though, because and they even show it in this, like she has a lot of potions and stuff on that desk by the mirror that she was looking at. So that tells me that she's like keeping herself alive with a lot of tricks and imitations. But we really haven't seen anybody that's been that old in Game of Thrones that I can imagine right now. Trying to think back, I really don't think there's anybody that really can pull that off other than Bloodraven, which I don't want to really go into that because that's a book thing. We haven't really gotten into it in the show. So yeah, that's really, really interesting. So yeah, seeing that transformation, that was, for me, I was a little bit scared of the image. I'll be honest, I was like, that like kind of shook me up. I was like not expecting that at all. I mean, I knew something was. I knew she was gonna take off that necklace when she started taking off the clothes. It's like, okay, we got that part of the curriculum set. Every episode's got to have some kind of boobage or something, right? But then it just goes even further, and we see her as just frail and everything else, and they show every part of her too. They don't leave out any expense for any imagination there, and it's a really chilling image, and it just her. I don't know if she does that every night. Is that a ritual or what? But I have a theory. Now you guys can sound off in the comments below about if you agree with me or not. But I think she's maybe siphoning. She's gonna siphon her power into Jon Snow. Maybe like she's gonna end up like basically giving away her rejuvenation, or giving her away her um, youthfulness to Jon Snow, because she did say, she was like, when she's seen Jon, she's like, I seen him in the flames fighting at Winterfell. So does that mean the prophecy is still going to come true? Is he going to be like resurrected to fight there? Is he going to be the new Stannis Baratheon, the new Azor Ahai, as they call it, the warrior of the Lord of Light with the burning sword type thing? Is that what's going to happen with him? I really don't know, but like Melisandre, she is kind of a cheap trick, because like I said before, she uses the potions, and this happens in the book too. There's one chapter, point of view chapter on her, where it is almost similar to this scene. And she has potions and stuff hidden in her sleeves to kind of like give different things, but practical effects is what I was trying to say. But yeah, so that is the highlights of the episode for me. Things I really liked. Couple of nitty gritty things that I didn't like so much. First of all, Doran's guards just let him die. Like, I feel like that's kind of crazy how they were just standing there as Eloria stabbed them and all that. They didn't even flinch. They were just standing there watching. It's like, wow, the royal guards really dropped the ball on that one. I mean, I guess they were in on it, but you would think one person at least would have tried to act out. So yeah, and also Jorah instantly finding Daenerys' ring and that huge ring of stampeded ground. I thought that was a little crazy. It's like he just walks right over. Oh, look at this. It's like a humongous area to find a ring like that quickly. Like, come on. But so, what'd you guys think? Did you guys think the same thing as me as far as like not liking those things, or are you able to justify that? But moving on, so that was it. Characters we didn't see, Tormund and the Wildlings, which I think are gonna come to the rescue next episode, or the episode after that, maybe to Davos, because Davos, there's no way out of there. They got the guys trained with the crossbows on the doors. So we have Dolores Head, who had went before the men had come. Alistair Thorne's men had come to the little shed, so he's out there probably getting Tormund. Also, my favorite house has not really displayed themselves, unless you call Theon still a Greyjoy, which I guess he could still be. But yes, the Greyjoys were not even mentioned in this episode, but as we know from the trailers, they are coming. So yeah, I can't wait for that. And finally, another character we haven't seen in a long time, a whole year, matter of fact. We didn't even see him in Season 5. We have Bran coming back, as well as Blood Raven, played by the guy in Star Wars, Max von Sydow. So yeah, we have a couple characters that we didn't see yet, but that's usually common with the Game of Thrones premiere. They only give us like 50 minutes an episode, and it's just not possible to fit that all in. But I really enjoyed this episode for the premiere. It was a great start. I mean, we had a shock value. We had some emotional moments with Cersei mourning the loss of her other child. We had action, sword fights, and of course, we have Tyrion and Varys, who always make me laugh. Those two are just great. So you guys can look forward to another episode of Recap of Thrones, probably a week from today, next Monday. I'll try to get every episode up by Monday. Next week's episode is episode 2, titled Home. So guys, what did you think of this video? Talk in the comment section below. You guys got any theories going on? Also, if you liked the video, please hit that thumbs up symbol. And please, guys, subscribe to this channel. It'll be able to update you with every new video I have coming out. If you want to subscribe, there's also other videos you can check out, such as my trailer breakdown of a bunch of screenshots from the season 6 Game of Thrones trailer. So definitely, if you watch this video, you might want to watch that, because I have some speculation on that too about what may happen later in the season. But that is going to do it for me, Star Raptor. You can follow me on Twitter at Star Raptor, as well as like my Facebook page as Star Raptor. Thanks for watching, guys, and bye-bye.